NewsCenter, Petals for Potter, the KCTM Spring Concert. Take a look at the Sophomore Art Exhibition and find out which professor is up for a Lammy Award. All this and more today on NewsCenter.
Good evening and welcome to NewsCenter. I'm Nate Merritt.
And I'm Bonnie Daly. This is your news for April 11th, 2013.
A former student passed away last June. And although he is gone, his involvement in the community service lives on with the help of his fraternity brothers and friends. NewsCenter's Amara Porter has more on the story.
Students, faculty, and members of Moorhead community came together Saturday, April 6th for the Sigma Pi philanthropy event.
We're Sigma Pi. Today we decided to put on a 5K. It was ran through Peddlers for Potter, which is one of our brothers that actually attended and was a student here at Moorhead State University a few years ago. Unfortunately, he did commit suicide, but in order to prevent that from happening to other special people in our lives, we decided to put on this 5K in an effort to raise awareness.
Petals for Potter is an organization set up to raise money for the Wounded Warrior Project.
We're a sponsor of the Wounded Warrior Project. All of our money goes and flows through them and to them. And hopefully everybody knows a little bit about the Wounded Warrior Project. It's a national foundation, a national charity set up to help promote and to help to give back to the men and women of the armed forces that serve both in Afghanistan and Iraq.
The organization was started to memorialize Kyle Potter, former MSU Sigma Pi, and an active volunteer for the Wounded Warrior Project.
We just decided after he passed that the best thing for us to do to kind of honor him was to honor others, through, and so our goal is to kind of follow his path through life and raise money, trying to raise about $10,000. So we're going to ride bicycles the first week of August of 2013 from Ashland, Kentucky, where Kyle's from, to Moorhead, where Kyle, went to school, and then further on to Louisville, where Kyle worked for the Louisville Slugger.
Reporting for NewsCenter, this is Amara Porter.
Moorhead State finished their 2012 campaign raising over $190,000. NewsCenter has more.
Assistant Director of Development Alicia Parker discussed the 2012 campaign that was put on by Unit Development Officers, in which MSU faculty gives money to university needs.
We had a team of folks, actually, our Unit Development Officers, which is composed of several employees on campus, and really the credit is to be given to our co-chairs, Dr. Dora Amati and Coach Tom Hodges. With any project, it takes a village, and it really took our team of folks. We had over 35 unit development officers from each of the areas, and then also our co-chairs, so it really was a team environment and a team participation.
There were many successes with this campaign.
Our biggest accomplishment is that we had 65% of our employees that participated this year that gave back to the university, and we raised over $194,000 this year in cash and pledges. Since the campaign started, over the last 15 campaigns, I'm proud to say that our university employees have raised over $2.4 million.
Parker says it goes right back into the programs. So we may have a specific need on campus, or we may have a specific scholarship that basically lets our employees give to the areas they feel most passionate about.
2 years after the body of Dylan Nemo Bryant was found in Elliott County, an arrest has been made in relation to the case. Kyle Holbrook of Olive Hill was arrested Monday on charges of murder and tampering with physical evidence. Holbrook was served with the indictment warrant while in custody at the Round County Detention Center on unrelated drug charges. Kentucky State Police would not disclose how they were able to connect Holbrook to Bryant's murder, and no additional details about the arrest were available at the time.
Legal watchdog group Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington is asking the FBI as well as a U.S. Senate committee to investigate Senator Mitch McConnell. The group is calling for investigations into recent tapes that surfaced where McConnell and his aides discussed the vulnerabilities of potential political opponents. McConnell is being accused of using taxpayer-funded resources to dig up dirt on his political opposition. It is against federal law and U.S. Senate rules for federal employers to work on campaigns while on government property or on government time. McConnell stated that the left is using Nixonian tactics to bug his campaign headquarters. The FBI is currently investigating the tape.
We'll be right back with the weather with Marky Owens and NewsCenter Notices featuring Dr. John Modaff.
Eagle Lake is only a short walk away and allows you to escape from everyday life. You can exercise and relieve stress by walking around the lake, or you can just sit back and enjoy the view. Eagle Lake is the perfect place to go to relax, but in the next few months it's going to get even better. So what are you waiting for? Go up to the lake. You know you want to. Breaking news. Events happening in Moorhead. Special guest. Weather updates. There when you need it. Channel 77. News Center. Thursdays from 5 to 5:30.
Hi, welcome back to News Center. I'm Marky Owens. Let's take a look at the weather. Today it's mostly cloudy with the current temperature of 67 degrees. We can tell because the storms are blowing in with that wind that's been gusting all day. And it's getting a little cloudy, and then we'll see some sun, and then we'll see some clouds, but it's been a pretty good day. Let's take a look at the record temperatures. There was a high of 83 degrees in 2011 today, and a low of 24 degrees in 1960. So it's not quite 83 degrees, but it's definitely not 24, so that's always a good thing. Let's take a look at the first alert temperatures. It's 61 degrees in Bowling Green, 65 degrees in Louisville, 64 degrees in Frankfort, 66 degrees in Covington, 67 degrees in Lexington, 78 degrees in London, 81 degrees in Jackson, 82 degrees in Ashland. Overall, it's been a pretty warm day. It's a little bit warmer to our south and to our east, but it's not been too bad, but we will see some storms later. Let's take a look at the first alert defender, courtesy of WKYT. We can see these storms coming from our west, and they're going to get here later tonight with a potential of severe weather, and you cannot rule out an isolated tornado, damaging winds, or hail. Let's take it to News Center Notices.
I'm here with John Modaff. I understand that you're a professor here and now a producer of a show. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
That's right. It's nice to be here, Bonnie. Yes, I am a professor at Moorhead State, and until someone discovers that I'm an imposter, I'll continue in this position. Steve Middleton and I are co-producing a show called Art This, and it's only working because of the great crew and director that we have helping out with the show. Tim Creekmore directed the first two segments, or I guess you call it a program when it's done, wouldn't you? And they're both pilots. The first one's the pilot, the second one's the co-pilot. And the first one aired yesterday, which was the 10th, or I think it was the 10th yesterday, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. And the other one will go up on the 17th, which is next Wednesday. And Art This is a program about the work of art, not just artworks, which are always fun to observe and appreciate, but trying to dig into how artists do what they do. How do they get past the obstacles and the barriers that they suffer and face, and how do they manage problems? How do they keep going? How do they keep their interest and their energy and their ambitions up? And then just how do they actually build and do the objects or the creations or the performances that they do? So it's a chance to show their work, but also, like we used to do in our tests, to show their work and to really give us some insight into how the magic happens in art.
Are they local artists, or are they all? Do you have like artists actually on the show?
Well, so far, because we've just done two programs, it's been local talent. We've had a ceramic artist from the art departments, the art and design department. We've had a couple of musical acts, and we'll try to get that in as frequently as possible. And then we had a poet who's known by some as the junkyard poet, but he's a creative writer, very talented across genres. So we've had 4 very good presentations so far, and we hope to do at least 2 features each week or each program, starting in the fall.
So the programs air on Wednesdays, correct?
Right. We hope that if it all stays together and continues to come together, that starting in the fall term, just about every Wednesday, we'll be rolling a new program.
If somebody misses a show on Wednesdays, is it true they can get online and look at this?
Yes, it is. MSUTV.net has this program archived, and just about everything else that gets produced here is up. So if people miss anything on MSUTV, they can always go to MSUTV.net.
Okay. And where can you see the show going in the future? So you're going to keep going into the fall, and if all goes well, you guys going to keep doing it throughout the semesters?
Yes, we hope to, and right now Steve and I are carrying a lot of the water. The crew's doing all the in-studio stuff, Tim's directing, but Steve and I are doing the production, including the shooting of the field packages in video and the interviewing, and we hope that we'll slowly turn those field productions, those video packages, to student producers, maybe teams of 2 that will go out, and so that Steve and I can concentrate on getting the guests in and hosting the show.
Well, what made you and Steve come up with this idea? What interests you the most about doing a show about artists?
Well, there's a great opportunity here at MSUTV for students, and they need programs to work on. And there are some good programs that have been going for many years here, but a fresh idea, the time was right for a fresh idea. I had produced student television at Hampton Institute, which is now Hampton University, back in the early 80s, and really enjoyed working with student teams there. It was a very similarly formatted show where artists come on, show their work, but talk about how they make what they make. And so that idea has been reborn here some 30 years later.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on today.
You're very welcome.
We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm John.
And I'm Steve.
Join us in April for a new program on MSUTV featuring artists and their artwork.
That's right. We're going to talk with artists about what art means to them and how they do what they do.
Poets, painters, songwriters, sculptors, welders, fabricators, weavers, makers, shakers, yes, even bakers of all kinds may join us.
So check out Art This in April and tell every artist you know there's a new venue in town, and it's called
Art
This.
The Eagle Sports Coaches Show with your host, Jason Blanton, covering all the latest news in Moorhead sports such as men's basketball with Coach Sean Woods, women's basketball with Coach Tom Hodges, and spring sports such as baseball with Coach Mike McGuire and softball with David Williams. So for the latest news with Moorhead sports, be sure to tune in every Tuesday at 6 p.m. on 96.3 FM, channel 77 every Wednesday at 6, or on our YouTube channel, YouTube/MSU Eagle Athletics.
Hi, welcome back to NewsCenter. I'm Marky Owens. Right now it's currently 67 degrees outside and it's mostly cloudy. We can feel those storms moving in that will be here later tonight from our west, and right now there's a humidity of 81%. And winds are at 3 miles per hour from the west-southwest. So overall it's not been too windy, but it has blown every once in a while. Let's take a look at the first alert temperatures. 61 degrees in Bowling Green, 78 in London, 81 in Jackson, 82 in Ashland, 67 in Lexington, 64 in Frankfort, 66 in Covington, and 65 in Louisville. Overall, it's been a pretty warm day. Not as warm as it has been, but overall, it's been pretty decent. As you can see on the First Alert Defender radar, thanks to WKYT, we see these storms moving from our west. They're going to be here later tonight, and there's a potential of an isolated tornado and damaging winds and hail. So when you go out tonight, make sure you carry an umbrella and are aware of the weather and listen to a weather radio if you have it, or receive weather text and take those warnings seriously. Let's take a look at the national radar, and you can see up to our north there is a lot of snow, and we're not getting any of that snow, thankfully, because it's finally hit spring here. But you can see the squall line of storms coming all the way down from Alabama all the way up to Michigan. So that squall line will affect us later tonight. The potential of it being severe is a pretty good chance, so make sure you're very, very aware. As you can see, the clouds are over all of us because we've had a lot of clouds today, and they're all over up and down this system, and it's been a very cloudy day. But we occasionally saw the sun every once in a while, but it's been pretty cloudy that are moving in from the storms. Let's take a look at the temperatures. It's been pretty warm today. It's 60s, almost 70s in where we're at today. And to the west, it's a little bit cooler in the 50s. To our north, it's in the 40s and 30s, and to the south, it's in the 80s, and it hits 90 down in Florida. So overall, it's a little different scattered across the country, but at least we're seeing spring weather and not snow. Tonight, we'll have a chance of showers, thunderstorms, severe weather, and like I said, be aware of that. You cannot rule out an isolated tornado, so make sure you're near a shelter if you can. And with a low of 45 degrees tonight, because a cold front is moving in and it's going to take over and cool down the temperatures this weekend. Tomorrow, it's going to be partly cloudy with wind, so be aware of that with a high of 51. Not quite as warm as it has been, but it's still going to feel more like spring and less like summer. Let's take a look at our 5-day weather forecast. On Friday, it's going to be a high of 51 degrees and a low of 28 degrees and partly cloudy with some wind. On Saturday, there's going to be a high of 55 degrees and a low of 34 degrees. On Sunday, there might be a chance of a thunderstorm with a high of 64 degrees and a low of 44 degrees. On Monday, it'll be a high of 72 degrees and a low of 51, partly cloudy. And on Tuesday, it'll be mostly cloudy with a high of 77 and a low of 57. It's almost going to hit the 80s on Monday and Tuesday, but you know, it's finally spring weather, but these storms aren't looking too good for tonight.
No, not tonight, but after that, get your shorts out.
Yeah.
Short sleeve shirts are going to be nice, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's finally spring, no more winter.
Absolutely. Thank goodness for that.
Oh yeah. Let's take it to Eagle Athletics.
The softball Eagles fell to 16-16 on the season after losing a doubleheader to Butler on Wednesday. The Eagles gained the lead in the third inning, but Butler scored 2 on a double, leaving the fourth inning. The Eagles behind. The second game saw an early lead for the Eagles with a 3-run homer from Ashbrook during the first inning. Butler turned the game around quickly, scoring 3 runs in the bottom of the half of the first inning. The top of the 6th inning saw an even score, but a pitch-hit walk-off single gave Butler the win. The Eagles play again Saturday against an opponent, Jacksonville State. First pitch of the doubleheader is slated for 1 p.m. This past Tuesday, MSU's men's golf team traveled to Alabama to play in the Grubmore Intercollegiate, where the team earned its second best spring score of 298. Senior Jared Flannery scored the team's best of 233, followed by freshman Logan Hogg and senior Matt Logan with 234. With a 3-round total of 869, Jackson State won the tournament. The Eagles finished 6 out of 10, placing 6 shots ahead of their rival EKU on April 15th and 16th. The Eagles will wrap up their regular season at the Big Blue Intercollegiate in Old Hickory, Tennessee. The baseball Eagles lost to Northern Kentucky University Wednesday, falling to 9-23 on the season. NKU took the lead early in the game with a 6-run second inning. MSU scored their first run in the top of the 4th, but it was too late to close the gap as NKU scored another run in the 4th and 7th innings. Overall, MSU out-hit NKU 9-8, but MSU stranded 8 players compared to NKU's 5. The Eagles travel to Normal, Illinois this weekend to play in a 4-game series with Illinois State beginning Friday at 7 p.m. And now let's take it to NewsCenter's famous trivia. Which MSU baseball player currently has the most runs on the season? Is it A, Tim Lancaster, B, Chase Greenwell, C, Bobby Lewis, or D, Taylor Pickens?
I think I'm going to go with D, Taylor Pickens.
I think it's Bobby Lewis.
Well, Nate, you would be correct. It is Taylor Pickens. He also got the Pepsi Player of the Week this week, and he's ahead of Round at Bats at 25. Coming in second would be Chris Robinson at 15. But
That's great. That's pretty good.
let's go ahead and take the break, and we'll be right back.
Morehead State University's art department hosted their annual sophomore art exhibition. NewsCenter's Adam Black has more.
Colorful, interesting, and unique art pieces were on display in the Claypool Art Gallery this week from over 30 sophomores in the art department, giving them the real-life experience of displaying their work, says gallery director Dr. Jennifer Rice.
This gives them an opportunity to learn how to present their work and also kind of see their artwork in a different context. For some of the students, they might not have had an opportunity where they've exhibited in a professional gallery space before. And so that is can be quite an illuminating experience.
Students are also able to have the experience of selling their pieces that are on display, says Dr. Rice.
For student exhibitions, we do not tack on a commission like we normally do. So the students will get all the money if their work sells.
MSU sophomore Jared Scott says he was excited to see his work on display and that his work is not just a picture.
This pencil drawing called Change, mainly because it had to do with me trying to juggle everything that was going on in my life at the time, and I just try to use an octopus and the transition from me to an octopus as juggling with all the hands, so just to get that through.
Reporting for NewsCenter, Adam Black.
If you would like to purchase any art piece, please contact Dr. Jennifer Rise at j.rise@moreheadstate.edu.
After postponing their spring concert, MSU's Kentucky Center for Traditional Music hosted the event yesterday outside their facility. NewsCenter Hardy Breeding was there for the story.
The KCTM wisely moved the date of the concert back to the 10th, which was the nicest day of the year thus far. The event took place on the Moonlight stage and allowed students and faculty to showcase their musical talents. Music for the evening ranged anywhere from old-time country to Celtic.
Looks like the weather's really cooperating well. It's a nice day. It's not too hot, so we're really looking forward to it. Sometimes we'll have 50 people, sometimes we can have 100. It just really depends on the day. I think today we'll see a pretty good turnout. I would expect around 75 people possibly. I'll be playing with the Old Time Country Ensemble. We'll be playing a couple honky-tonk tunes and some rockabilly stuff, so we're really looking forward to playing today.
We've had a lot of growth in the Traditional Music Center the past few months, especially since this new building's opened last August. Each semester we have a couple of end-of-the-year finale concerts for all our ensembles at the Traditional Music Center, and weather permitting, we're going to try to have one each fall and spring out here on the Moonlight stage, Moonlight School.
Wells also spoke about a future trip to China.
The second week of May, there is a group of students that are going to be going to Tianjin, China again. They're working with the American Center there, and it's an exciting opportunity for students.
NewsCenter also spoke with spectators about their love and appreciation of the music.
Oh, it's a lot of heritage and things. It's good to come out and hear it and support it, because it was dying off there for a minute, and programs like this are bringing it back, and that's a good thing to keep kids in touch with where they come from and the sounds of their past.
I think the music's at a higher spot now than it ever has been. It's continuing to grow, and it's going to keep growing. There's so many venues now. I mean, you go to Asheville, North Carolina, and you just see just this place just full of culture and traditional music and Appalachian heritage at the same time. To me, that's got to be an interesting part of it. You can't forget where the music came from.
For NewsCenter, I'm Hardy Breeding.
The KCTM's final concert will be held at the Rowan County Arts Center on April 30th.
One MSU professor has been recognized for her work in LGBT studies. A Mayor reporter spoke with her about her recent achievement.
MSU professor Dr. Bernadette Barton recently published a book that is starting to get recognition.
My book is called Pray the Gay Away, The Extraordinary Lives of Bible-Belt Gays, and here it is, right here. I'm really excited about it. I've been working on this book for 6 years. I started it in 2006 and collected data for a number of years, and I've been writing, and basically what it is it's a compilation of stories of the experiences of lesbians and gay men from the Bible Belt about what it's like to grow up in an area saturated by conservative Christianity.
Dr. Barton was inspired to write this book after an incident she had with a neighbor.
I was in my backyard, and it's in the introduction to the book. I was in my backyard and I was putting in some tomato and pepper plants, and there was a neighbor next door who was tilling a big plot for a woman who was at his church, and he offered to come and help till my area, and I said no, but he kept insisting, and then he finally I let him, and he finally came over and he did it, and then after that he asked me what church I went to, and I told him that I was a lesbian and I didn't attend any of the churches around here because they weren't very accepting. And he said, it's an abomination. Well, which was a really strong response and shocking to me because he was in my backyard and it was not the way I'm used to being responded to, and it was kind of rude and aggressive and creepy, and so all that happened, and it freaked me out. And then I talked to a bunch of different people about it because I was trying to figure it out, and had all these different responses, and I decided that it would be interesting to find out what it's like to grow up in a region where you might experience this more often.
After years of work, the book has been published and has recently been nominated for an esteemed award.
It is a finalist in the Lambda Literary Awards, and they're sort of like the Oscars for gay books. So there are all these different categories, and my category is LGBT studies, and there were 10 finalists in my category. And so anyway, it's a big honor just to be a finalist. And what happens is they have a big ceremony on June 3rd I'll be going to. They call it the Lammies, sort of like the Grammys. And I'll get to get all dressed up and, see if I won or not. So I'll find out that night on June 3rd.
Reporting for NewsCenter, this is Amara Porter.
NewsCenter would like to congratulate Dr. Barton on all of her achievements.
And on behalf of Marky Owens with weather and Don Young with sports and all the NewsCenter staff, I'm Nate Merritt.
And I'm Bonnie Daly. Have a great evening.
Thank you.